ir perėsiu tiesiai prie šios dienos temos. Nuolat didėjant kibernetinio saugumo grėsmių skaičiui, atsirandant naujiems pažeidžiamumo būdams, nereta organizacija pradeda formuoti saugumo operacijų centro veiklą, SOC, kitaip vadinama. Ir taip kaip iki šiol būdavo stebima ir prižiūrima IT infrastruktūra, taip vis daugiau organizacijų pradeda stebėti ir savo saugumo incidentus ir įvykius. Tai kaip vieną kertinį įrankį dažniausiai naudoja CM arba svarsto įdiegtis, tačiau kad saugumo operacijų centro veiklai reiktų kuo mažiau žmogiškųjų išteklių, galima pasitelkti ir modernius įrankius. Tai vienas iš jų, visai lyginai nesenai pasirodęs, yra Orchestration Automation and Response, taip tariant SOAR, skirtas saugumo operacijų centrams. Ir jį šiandieną pristatys Marko Karala, mūsų partnerio Cisco saugumo architektūros vadovas Suomijoje ir Baltijos šalims. Marko papasakos, kaip SOAR sprendimas gali pakelti SOC veiklą į kitą lygį ir leisti saugumo incidentus pastebėti ir juos užkardyti per kelias minutes. So, Marco, I made a short introduction and the screen is yours now.
Yeah, the only thing I understood was my name and the Cisco, so I'm good. So hello everyone, my name is Marko Harala and I'm running the security for Finland and Baltics at the Cisco and the architecture and the business. And today we are going to talk about how can you build unmanned SOC in minutes and get your hands on SOAR and XDR technologies in a second. So we talk about SecureX. So SecureX is a couple of things for Cisco. The first thing that SecureX means to us is that it's a rebranding of our security portfolio. So many times our customers and partners have said that it's freaking hard to understand what you guys are doing with the security. You have tons of products and that sort of thing. So SecureX is also rebranding and making easier for our partners and customers to understand what we are doing. And a good example is email security. We have Iron Board, the old stuff that is still there, and it became an ESA and so on. So we have cloud security, we have this and that. So future and now on, it's SecureX email. So if you want to do something with the email, it's SecureX email. So that's another part of the story. So SecureX is about rebranding and make it easier for our partners and customers and understand what we are doing with the security. But the other part, which is the topic today, the much more interesting part is that it is a full-blown SOC platform from the cloud. Gartner has a technology quadrant for this, and it's SOAR, which means security orchestration, automation, and response. And then there's also the XDR, which means a little bit different things depending on from who you ask the question. But in overall, the XDR means that it's some sort of extended detection and response capabilities. It could be that you're using metadata to construct the bad things and looking at the weak signals and so on, or you use another architecture, another technology group, or whatever you want to call it, to actually mitigate the threat that it's not the cyber technology that is mitigating that. But anyway, for us, it's the same thing. So SecureX is both of those things. So we look through this, and I walk you through the whole story that we do, and how can you get actually the unmanned SOC in a minute to be used. But before we dive into the SecureX and the SOAR technology, the golden standard of doing advanced security has been pretty much something like this. And it's been so flawed from the day one that it basically would take the whole of time that I have to present the whole thing today to cover these issues that the classical approach has. So basically it means SIM or CM type of solution. And those green circles are that you have technologies like A, B, and C. You have firewall, you have AD, you have AV, EDR, whatever, you have your technologies, IPSCs at the network and so on. And you'll take the logs and put them in a centralized brain. As said, this has so many flaws, and the biggest flaw for me as a techie comes from the fact that there's an attack written on the PowerPoint there. So if there's an attack happening and none of these technologies don't see that attack, is there going to be a log? No. Is there something that you investment like SIM going to do about the threat? They're going to do nothing because they don't see it. And what about if the technology see there that is closer to the attack? It's like 53% sure that this is a bad thing. Is it going to block the bad thing because it's like half sure that it's a bad thing? No, it's not going to block that. Is it going to tell anything for the central brain to do something with this? No, it's not. So the problem of the good old standard and gold standard to do security has flawed from the beginning. It's not built for the modern world where we for sure are not sure what is happening at the environment. And that's where the game begins. And that's why we have these technologies like SOAR and XDR merging to the market. Another problem is the minus 500K that is there, the second one. So to build a SOC like this, you need to buy the technology, you need to buy the SIM. And before you know it, you're like 500K short below the surface with your whatever you are doing there. So if you're doing this as a service, your service is minus something from the day one. And if you're building this for yourself, you just spend 500K and you're not getting anything out of the investment at the moment that you spent the 500K. So that is massively problematic from the financial point of view. And then because your technology is not sure and you need to build it and you need people to do things, you suddenly need that 24/7. You need to have a boatload of people to do analytics and that sort of thing. So it's not going to fly. We don't have budgets and we don't have security analysts walking all over the place. Hey, I just need 100 of those to actually cover the problem that I have with my platform here. Not going to happen. And then you have your own tools that you use usually to do investigation. Simple tools like from the web, like Virus Total, Showdown, Have I Been Pawned, What's My IP, that sort of things. And all of those, or you've written something with Python or whatever script language that you use. You have your own tools that you usually use when you do these advanced things with your environment. You can't put them in your SIM or CM. But then again, you need to buy something new, and that's why we have the +1, +2, +3, because you need to have better visibility. You need to have automation. Your SIM is not doing that. So before you know it, you're about 1 mil short, and you spend 1 mil, and still your investment is not generating any value for you. So you bought the platform, but the platform wasn't doing any automation, orchestration, or any of that. And for sure, it was not doing anything regarding the response, which is another pain in the ass with the classical golden standard approach. Yes, it went through the analytics, it went through the platform, and then you need to do still something. And as I said, we talk about this the whole session here, but the classical approach has so many flaws in it that we need to do things differently. And this is what I call it. It really killed the dinosaurs, as I call them. So if you are the service provider building a SOC, it just cannot be like this anymore. That you build the beast and wait it to be profitable or actually do some value for you. So this problematic things that are around the classical golden standard approach are killing the dinosaurs, as I call them. So what's the new world? So the new world is completely different. So the whole idea of the new world is that we don't have this central brain. We have technologies that will talk to each other, and we will facilitate the discussion. And it becomes massively interesting in many ways, because once again, we have that nasty attack happening there, and the technologies are not sure, is this a good or bad, or what's going on here? So technology one or A to B is seeing something that, hey, I'm seeing something weird here, anomaly, but I can't really pinpoint the fact that is this a good or bad. And it's talking to a technology B, hey, I'm seeing the same thing. It's a little bit weird, and so on. So these technologies are talking to each other and figuring out, is this good or bad? Let me give an example that we usually do in the demos, that end user is going in a domain. That domain is not bad at the moment in this time, but there are a lot of signs there that it's a bad domain. The domain may have been located in a service provider that is doing bad things. The IP block where the domain is is once again suspicious because all the other servers in that network block are doing bad things and so on. The traffic pattern towards that domain is looking suspicious because it basically looks like a command control type of queries. But once again, we are not sure. But then again, the user went there, downloaded something. The endpoint is seeing yet another set of similar metadata type of things that, hey, there's a tiny thing that came from the web page. It's running in the context of my browser. It's a very small program. It's not bad at the moment. But then again, it once again looks suspicious that something is running in the context of my browser. Yet another data set. And then the third technology, like StealthWatch is. StealthWatch is seeing that the profile and a behavior of this device, laptop, server, or whatever, is changing towards the network. New applications are used, new type of patterns are used. I'm asking network shares and that type of things. So suddenly we have like tons of information there that everything looks suspicious and bad. So guess what? It is bad then. So in the cyber world. And the whole idea of this is that when the technologies are talking to each other, like the children at the bottom of the slide, the magic starts to happen. So we don't have the central brain. We facilitate the discussion and go further. So in the future, it's not about you building, crying out loud, massive analytic platform. That's like a plug and play stuff nowadays. That's why this is a golden standard. And we talk about that in a second. You basically drive the environment. You are the driver, but the technology is doing the thing for you. And you can build these really funky type of workflows, basically copying the behavior of human being in the SOC. How does the analyst do the work? Well, fetch something from the network or fetch something from the endpoint, push that towards the sandbox, whatever comes out, correlating and doing that magic at the SOC. You can now build those models as a workflow towards your unmanned SOC. So that's the whole key. That's why this is the golden standard to go further, because it has so many advantages. We talk about these during the session here. So this is probably the one slide that you guys need to remember. So all the things that we basically use to know as high-end SOC services are now actually the byproduct of an integrated architecture, integrated open architecture, where technologies, not just Cisco technologies, but whatever technologies that has an API can talk to each other and do the magic for you. So this is the one key takeaway, and this is where we are with the security. This is the whole idea of the SecureX. So how did we came up to this? So I've been Cisco at 7 years. So just before I joined Cisco, we started to go towards generation 1 there. So I put these as a generation. They are not officially Cisco way to tell the story, but I find them more convenient when I'm explaining the path that we ended up here. So the generation 1 was that about 7 years ago when I joined the Cisco was the edge of the cliff. Let's put it this way. We have 75,000 employees and a roughly equal amount of partners running around in our network that is all over the place. If I'm looking at the ICE, which is the Identity Services Engine and the network access control product that we have about 500,000 active endpoints. Anytime you look at the ICE, 1.5 million registered. So that's our network. Flows coming in like terabytes and that sort of thing. So we were at the edge of the cliff that we can't do the security the same way that we've been doing it for years, which basically means that we can't put the firewall, we can't put the SIM in there, because only people that are happy if we put the SIM in there are the people that sold the SIM for us. And it doesn't give us a value, as you see in the previous slide. So we went towards the generation 1. The network needs to be integrated part of the defense, which means that the network traffic analytics, and in our world, the StealthWatch and Flow are the key things. So the metadata from the network needs to be the foundation. Then we started to build these integration, which is basically the generation 2. We had different type of integrations like firewall and ice. Fire and ice was a cool story. So firewall sees something, asks network to do something, or the other way around. Network sees something and asks the firewall to do something. And we continued that towards, and the generation 3 was Cisco Threat Response. That was the predecessor of the SecureX. So we needed to have a place to get the events in, and we needed to have a place to get the contextual awareness. So it's not just an IP address that we are interested in. If there's a bad thing or early sign of something, indicator of compromise, whatever, we wanted to have that all the rich metadata around it. Who is the user? What's the machine? Where it is? How is the network behavior? What's the profile using the internet? What's the profile using email? What has come in lately? And all that type of information. And we cover that also in the slides when we go further. But we also needed a place to put the third-party intelligence. So not just take everything that we have with the network, we needed a place to do the integration towards VirusTotal or whatever feed that you might use to get a better understanding what is happening there. And then the fourth part of the story was the automation, and that's what we continued when we went further, and that became the SecureX. So this is what the threat response looked like. In a second, you'll have a view what is happening in your environment, what are the correlations and so on. Red means bad, and gray is the stuff that we usually are interested, which means that this is the stuff that is missed by the AV and a firewall and all the technology that you have, but it has a correlation to the bad things that are happening in your environment. There's a better picture coming about that in a second. So we came to the conclusion that we need a platform. We need a platform which basically is a SOC platform from the cloud, and it has to be super simple that when you integrate stuff in it's like snapping a finger and you get everything up and running in minutes. It has to be a place where you can get visibility towards everything that is happening in the cyberspace at your environment. Some people call it as a single pane of glass. I call it much more, and I explain the fact in the forthcoming slides. And it has to be super efficient. So we don't have a boatload of people doing things. We need to do this super efficient, which basically means automation and bringing the cost down while we are doing an advanced type of security. So this is how it looks like. The whole SecureX story it's a built-in platform from the cloud. And it has a couple of things that I'll walk you through in this slide. So at the left side, you'll have your infrastructure. You have the network, endpoint, cloud, applications, whatever. That's what you have. And it has, of course, kind of a wrapper around it. You'll have security technologies. Of course, this is our slide. It's a Cisco Secure. But this is an API stuff, so it's an open platform, and I'll talk about that in a second. So at the left side, you'll have your infrastructure. Then you start to integrate that to the platform. Of course, if it's our technology, just plug and play, hit the add button, put the APIs across, you're good to go. So you'll get that single point of integration and you get that single pane of glass. On the left side, if you look at the SecureX, at the top of that, you'll have applications. I don't really know. Can I actually draw here? Let's give it a try. Can I find a pen here? Give it a try, pen. Can I draw? Yes. So here, oh, cool technology. Anyway, so at the left side and the top of the view, you'll have applications. And if you've been paying attention to what happens at the WAN or network or access side of the story, so the software-defined WAN is basically built in a way that you'll have a transport underneath, whatever ADSL, 4G, 5G, MPLS, you name it. You have transport underneath, just like we have here. We have a transport, which is the technology that we'll use. On top of the transport, you orchestrate, you build an overlay. And this is exactly what we are doing with the cybersecurity here. You'll have your technologies, we build an overlay. And I wouldn't be that much surprised if some days the SecureX actually have an app store built in. So you can download cool stuff here that you can run on top of your platform here. At the moment, we have the threat response there, which is the thing that everything started in our world. So that's that. So at the middle, we have that single pane of glass. And for me, it's not that kind of cutting edge stuff. Some people find it super kind of useful and brings a value to the table. But for me, I'm looking different things. I'm looking things that can I look the environment through some sort of framework like Mitre. And that's a cool stuff. But anyway, at the middle, you'll have the view that you'll get from the underlay that you'll have, which is basically the technologies that you'll have. So then again, you'll have your teams. You'll have the SecOps teams, cyber guys. You have the network guys, IT guys. They need a single place to do things, orchestration or detection, analytical things, and now you'll have that. So this is the place where you use the underlay with your overlay to do the detection and analytics, investigations, and you do the orchestration and you manage things and so on. On the managed things side, there's a lot of stuff happening there. So of course you can orchestrate and deploy technologies also. That's a block in here. So Cisco Defense Orchestrator. So in the future, it's super cool to have a technology where you create a firewall rule, but underneath it's like a Google translator. So you have a firewall A here and a B, and you have firewall C here. So you don't really need to understand how to create a firewall rule to each of these technologies. You just push it through and the translator is doing the magic. So there's a lot of stuff happening underneath there. That's the Cisco Defense Orchestrator. Stay in the loop with that, because as I said, that's another kind of benefit that comes with this type of thinking, that you'll have this cloud native platform to do things. On the right side, you'll have your existing technologies and your infrastructure. So it could actually be that you'll have a SIM, but you'll have those problems that we discussed. So the big question now is that if you'll have this type of integration point here, is this actually going to be your SOC in the future? Because you can do all the automation and orchestration here. Or if you have this or something like there, like Hive, the Hive project, that is a pretty cool stuff also. You have the Hive running at your environment, and you want to have another layer of flexibility and that sort of things on top of this. You'll just integrate these two together. So that is a big question. Are we going to use this as everything, or is it going to be part of something else? Either way, do it the way you want. It's there for you to use the way you want. Next thing that I'm going to cover is the orchestration. That is the unmanned. That is the cutting edge stuff here. So we cover that in the forthcoming slides. But also the one thing with this is that the SecureX is free for all of our customers that have Cisco security technologies. So if you have bought something from us, you have a right to use the platform. The platform doesn't cost anything extra for you. Just do the integrations and you're good to go. So question that I usually got, that what about if we don't have Cisco technologies, can I use SecureX? The answer is yes, you can still bring the free stuff here like VirusTotal, Showdown and that sort of things. But of course, because we maintain the integrations here, you can use your whatever firewall if it has an API and use it in the workflows. So yes, there's a value, but the true value comes in the mix that you'll have the security products from our side, and then you'll have something that you need to integrate and it has an APIs in it. So everything here in the SecureX is built on top of the APIs, and you can push stuff the way you want. So it can be really wild stuff. So as mentioned, for me, the visibility is like, yeah, of course, it's better to look at one single pane of glass than all of these kind of portals that you'll have. But for me, the kind of, because everything needs to be next gen. So next gen visibility means that you use the underlay and you put something on top of that and you build the views like based on the Mitre attack or any of the other tactic frameworks that are out there. because we are not interested that much of the pie charts. What is my firewall or IPS or AV doing? I'm interested about the unknown. Remember the first slides. I'm interested about stuff that the technology is not sure is good or bad, or that gray stuff that is somehow related to the bad thing, because that's where the defense today lies. But anyway, this is cool stuff also, and as I said, it has value of its own, especially if you go a little bit further. So as said, SecureX is all top of the APIs, open framework. You can bring whatever you want there. So I'll see a lot of discussion with the service now, or of course Microsoft ATP and that sort of thing. We have the Microsoft at the doing whatever, and we need to go further. We need this unmanned capabilities, not just collecting the logs with the Sentinel. So we need to go further. We need to have better security. So you can integrate whatever you want here. And this is also cool stuff because it's breaking the boundaries that we usually have in security, meaning that we have cyber guys, we have network guys, we have application guys, we have the process guys, we have guys that run our data center, the ACI guys. So now I can bring everything together with this platform. And that's why it's massively important that we do something like it, because we can't continue to live in silos. That is what is killing the security also. So a little bit with the SOAR. So the story was that we ended up in this game slightly different. So you can buy these technologies as is from the shelf. So there are SOAR technologies and there are XDR technologies. But we ended up in this game doing it differently. So ground up. So make the technologies talk to each other and facilitate that discussion and dialogue. And then you'll basically get much more. So it's not like a 1 + 1 is 2. It's like 1 + 1 is 3 or 4 in our case, because you'll get the SOAR and XDR capabilities. You get them for free, and you can go further. So there's so many good things about doing this slightly different than just creating another product that you need to buy, and then you struggle with the integrations. So a lot of good things comes with this slightly different approach that we have in the cyber. So let's go to the cutting edge stuff. So this is the way that you'll create the unmanned SOC for yourself. So integrations to the technologies, just push the button, add, and you're good to go. Many of the technologies have a cloud managed option. So take the cloud managed option, put the APIs in place, and you're good to go. So you've done the integration. So automation and orchestration needs to be the key. So automation, many of you probably using it already. I need to have 10 VMs up and running. I need to have these network addresses. I need to have these subnets, this and that. So you've done that with the AVS, with your own data center. You need to do things more faster, efficient way, and so on. So you do automation. But the orchestration is a little bit different. It's like a much more wider context. It's all about being a glue between different things. And one of the things that you usually forget, especially if you do, or you can't use that if you are doing the automation, is the human. So the end user. So we have super cool examples about this, that how you can bring the people in the process. So this is exactly the way I'm doing it in my home environment here. So I'm using Cisco technology. I have my data center. I have a SecureX Unmanned SOC watching my environment here. And every now and then it has a question to me that I'm seeing this and that. Would you like me to run the classical way of inspection and pushing stuff towards the sandbox and doing this and that? Or do you want to jump in and do your magic? And I usually reply, no, I don't want to jump in, do whatever you're doing there. So you can build amazing things. But it's all about orchestration because it gives us so much more. So let's go a little bit deeper on orchestration here. Just checking time, you're good, no worries. So you can do the orchestration in different ways. But the simple concept is here. It is a process workflow that has a starting point and it has an ending point. And it can do different things here. There's a cool example coming. And in somewhere between, you can have that end user, stock analyst, whatever security guy doing decisions. And it's like a block game. If you have those techno Legos that you bought from the supermarket, you can program this exactly the same way. So these blocks here are the capabilities from your infrastructure. And needless to say, the more capabilities you have in your security technology, the more you can do here. If it's like a very simple switch that can do port, take a power off or power on, that's that's a very limited capability, but it has more capabilities, more you can use here. So that's the logic here. So capabilities that you'll see here are coming from the technologies that you have. And then you start to chain them. You can nest them, have whatever there. And as said before, we have APIs all over the place. So you can integrate whatever you want. In our case, of course, it's many cases, it is WebEx Teams. It can be Microsoft Teams, Slack. One of our partners did it in a Slack. Customer wanted to have the Slack to be the integration point for end user communication. So why not? So if you need to do something, and then we use whatever you have there available. But also logic is simple. This can be kicked off by the user. So I push the button and something happens. It's more like an automation type of things. Or this can be waiting for the flag from somewhere. So one of the technologies that you'll have is unsure, or it has a question, or it has whatever, it feels bad. That could be the case here. I'm IPS, I'm dying here. Guys, do something, please. And you'll kick off the process here, and it has an ending point. Or it could be calendar, timed like things. So I'm doing threat hunting, I'm tearing apart, doing forensic snapshot and that sort of thing, basically continuously in my own environment. A couple of other advanced things if there's a question from some of the technologies that I have. But this is the logic. You invoke and you have a target, you'll get a response, and you can do something if the response is wrong or it has couple of other things. So it's basically it's programming with the basic type of language. You don't need to know any of the Python. You don't need to know any of these programming languages. This is a block game. Of course, as said, it's on top of the APIs. You can bring the Python world in it. If you understand JSON, good for you. You're almost there. So you can start to do these funky integrations with everything that you'll have in your environment that will have an API in it. So one cool example about the workflow I promise to give that is a forensic snapshot and isolate. So this is one of our standard demos that we usually do with the technology that once again, you have that previous workflow there and somebody is unsure what's going on here. Or you as an investigator think that we need to do a forensic snapshot. So of course, I'm kicking that off. There's a start point here. I'm kicking that off. I'm taking the forensic snapshot and isolate the system from the network. I can use the endpoint to do that. So I can use the AMP for endpoint, which is the EDR, endpoint detection and response product. Or if you have something else there that is capable of doing that, you're free to use that. But anyway, it's good to take that machine a little bit offline for a while you think that there's something seriously wrong with the box there. And then we can add a couple of other things here. Of course, if the endpoint is in a shape that it cannot be trusted or used anymore, we can use the network to do the isolation. So ICE, of course, in our world is the tool to do that. But you feel free with whatever you have there, and build your workflows on top of that. But this is the line usually that I draw there, that we usually, when we've done these scripts, it goes wrong. But what about if I can't do anything with the box, or I can't get anything out of it, or the end user is the CEO? I can't take it offline, or I can't do this and that. But now we have a lot of things that we can do between. So of course, we can send a message to the guy that is using the laptop. Once again, if it's a Slack or whatever they're using internally as a tool to communicate, WebEx Teams, Microsoft Teams, you name it. We send a message to the guy, hey guy, this is the automated SOC talking to you. We need to do a couple of things for your laptop. So have a cup of coffee. You can still browse the network. You can go and look at the pages from the internet, but you can't get your hands towards the network shares and these, because we think that you might have been infected with the ransomware or something like that, because you're doing weird stuff here. So we isolate that host in a second using capabilities that we have. And we also keep the end user and our SOC or whatever IT teams in the loop that are there, that, hey, this is the stuff that is happening. Would you like to be participate the process here, or do we do the standard things? And then we can poke the system here, take the files that we think that are bad, push them towards the sandbox, which is threat grid in our world, or the orbital means that orbital is a technology that comes with the AMP technology. So it converts the environment, your assets, meaning laptop servers, to basically a database. So it's like a VMI of cybersecurity. I can ask questions, I can run database queries, but it's not database. Those are the systems. So show me the host file, show me this, and show me the registry, show me this and that. What process is the mother of this child, and so on. So I can poke around, and of course that can be automated, and you get tons of stuff that is built in already there. But Orbital is the tool that we poke around, we do the investigation, and we also use Sandbox and other technologies to make sure that what's going on there. But this is super fast to build. These are also examples when you check that SecureX and register to use it, so you can look how the magic happens and start to build your own workflows. So this is the way it goes in a SecureX. Remember that there's a couple of slides that you need to remember. The first was that the advanced security, the SOC type of capabilities are now the byproduct of an integrated security. But this is another slide that you need to remember, because in the old school world, there was a flag here. There's an IOC, indicator of compromise, alert, event, you name it. Something came to the SIM. And then you start to do the investigation, which basically means that you go towards these dashboards and consoles and so on. So there could be actually a SIM here between. So anyway, it's an isolated event, which you don't have that kind of a 360 view, what's going on there. And then when you figure it out, yes, this is a bad thing, you need to go and poke around with different technologies that we need to take the bad stuff out. Not in SecureX, completely different world. So we do all of this for you automatically. So there's a bad thing here. Somebody, something, ask a domain that is a bad. Just like here, you had an alert. In our world, we immediately see it's these IP addresses, these machines. The threat, by the way, that is generating this here, this kind of a line there, it came in with an email, and it has these and that kind of email addresses. And cherry on the top, it had a file in it, and this is the hash from it. So immediately, automatically, you'll have a view what's going on there. And it's no brainer that the next thing for you is basically the automation. So why we leave here these things in the network? Because we are knowing that they are connecting to the bad thing. So this is the ransomware next, whatever bad thing, and so on. So of course you can do this manually. So you can right click, take the bad stuff out, go through the Office 365, Microsoft 365 mailboxes and take the bad stuff out, make a block list to make sure that the endpoints are not running this file. So of course you could do that manually. But why do that manually? Because you can do that automatically now. So before we as a human being understand that we are under attack, the environment has already reacted and they are keeping us in the loop. So this is a really, really cool stuff. And the rabbit hole goes as deep as you want to go. Integrations, unlimited amount of stuff can be done there. You can do whatever you want and go as much, because the interesting thing goes when this is not a red, and we slightly touched about the topic. So we don't have a clear indication that something is bad. So we basically fetched this from a technology as an event that I'm like 78% sure that this is a bad domain. So let's see what's going on underneath. So who's connected? Are they downloading something? If they're downloading something, what they are downloading, how that downloaded process is affecting our laptops or servers, how is the profile changing underneath towards the network, is my firewall seeing eventually something? So the rabbit hole goes as deep as you want. And of course, we talked about this a little bit, that if you have your SOC already, you basically build it the good old school standard. You have the SIM or CM running there. There's nothing wrong with that. You basically, you ended up in that game and you did it by the book. so that just happened. But now you have an option to bring a couple of things on top of that. Of course, you can have that extra layer of flexibility, automatizations, 360 view, threat mitigation, threat hunting, workflows, you name it. All of those can be integrated on top of your existing platform. But for those that are not in this world yet, you basically didn't buy any of these technologies, but you probably have a firewall or AV. The firewall is something, it's a span for you, it's something. And you have a AV or EDR, most likely from Microsoft ATP or something like that. And you're thinking, how should I go further? Then probably the easiest for you is that the SecureX is your SOC. That is the platform, and that's the place where you build these orchestrations. Only thing that you need to take care, this is probably the third thing that you need to remember. SecureX does a lot of things, but because the nature is not the fact that we'll take logs from the systems, we take events and we orchestrate, we facilitate the conversation. The only thing that you need to take care with the SecureX is that if you're interested of storing logs, you'll take them. But this arrow is slightly wrong. You'll take the logs from the underlying, the underlay. You'll take them from the devices. So this is a good topic in many ways, because we are not taking the information out from the network. The logs are where they are, where the technology is. Of course, if it's a cloud technology, it's at the cloud already, Microsoft crying out loud. Or if it's a classical firewall or IPS, the logs will stay in your environment. We are using APIs to facilitate the dialogue and drive that environment. So it's good to keep in mind. But now you have flexibility, do the way you want. A little bit about architecture, checking at the slide, we've started about 4 or 5 minutes late, so I guess I have a little bit of time. But this is the SecureX here. So that's the middle point. You have a couple of kind of databases, if you want to call them. We have the orchestration. So this is where the unmanned portion of the things live. And we have the threat response, where you basically do the search, you search the stuff, you build the views, you do things. And then you have these options. Of course, the one option is what we call the ribbon framework, which is basically that we take care all of the integrations towards our technology. Everything that Cisco has in a security is part of this. And all of those that have been already doing something with the APIs, you know that one of the bad things that comes with the APIs is that if somebody is changing the firmware or code, the APIs are usually broken, but not with the SecureX, because we maintain the framework here. So if we update something here, we make sure that SecureX understands that. So we'll make probably the biggest pain in API world go away with this also. And this is the way to do it. So you can have these kind of metrics, you have content, intelligence, response, and so on. But same with the third party. It is open platform. You can have whatever technology there, part of the flow here. So if orchestration needs to go and do something with whatever technology you have there, homegrown or firewall that is not ours, or EDR that is not ours, and it has an API, you can go and kick that happen. So of course you can do that. So this is a little bit open up the thinking at the underneath. But the key thing to remember is that the massive pain that usually comes with the APIs is the fact that if somebody's changing something, the whole API structure breaks down, but not with the SecureX. We keep them in sync. So that's the ribbon framework that we have. A little bit of this, most of our stuff all green, almost there. So the key things are already integrated here. These come like weekly basis, and we add, because it's a cloud platform, evergreen, always up to date. So we keep adding things. That's like a Meraki network. You can see things that are there in the beta phase. So we're bringing them in first for you to see, and then we see how does this feature actually evolve. So it's super agile. A lot of the stuff is already there, so not paying that much of attention here. about how these things work. So all the essentials are already there. Let's go further. And also, if you are interested about the privacy, so any privacy related questions, how does the data flow, what do we keep, and so on, go to the Cisco Trust Center. All the things are there. As said, SecureX is a cloud platform, and all the privacy related things are here. It's an EU platform, so you can see what we are doing and read these type of going wrong words. These type of documents, privacy data sheet with SecureX. How does SecureX work? What are the things that we do, and also the personal data processing, all the stuff. It's there, well documented and available for you. Just go in the Trust Center, and if any questions towards trust or privacy or any of that, it's all at the Trust Center. So go and look at that. But as a final slide, kind of the summary. So how do you build an unmanned SOC in a minute? So take the SecureX and take a couple of things and you're good to go. So, but for partners also, if you want to build completely new SOC type of services, pay-as-you-go model, we have that. SecureX is free if you have Cisco technologies, but you need technologies underneath that, and they are all pay-as-you-go model. If you're a customer, we can always finance those, so you basically pay monthly about those technologies, so not a problem also for the customers. But I call this as a supercharger, so 30 minutes visibility boost. So it basically takes 30 minutes to get this up and running in every network. So you'll take Umbrella, which is security on top of the DNS. So point your DNSs towards us, you're good to go. Take Stealth Batch Cloud, which is basically collecting the network flow, the flow information, push that towards the cloud. It's about 30-minute job, and you'll have completely visibility towards the northeast traffic with the Umbrella, and east-west, what is happening inside of your data center, inside of your home network. Completely transparent visibility, and put those to the SecureX, and it's like a supercharger of your security, and then start to integrate whatever you need on top of that. But with the visibility, it never goes wrong. So that's the way it goes. So that's the supercharger. If you want to go further, basically like the full classic SOC overlay, once again, the north, south, take Umbrella, security on top of the DNS, or the artificial intelligence thinking, should I go there or not, and giving you information about that and blocking the bad things. Take the AMP, which is the EDR, endpoint detection and response, because we need to go inside of the system also. With this, you can see that there's something wrong. The network is seeing that there's something wrong, and endpoints are doing weird stuff. But you need to usually have a way to go inside of the system, first of all, to correct the problem and get the more insight. What is the process? What's the mother process? How this relates to whatever. So you need to go inside, and that's the AMP technology. And then take the Stealth Watch and the SecureX. That's like a classical, super fast, once again, way to bring your environment on this generation type of thinking with the cyber. If you have Office or Microsoft 365 there, Umbrella and email are usually the things that come into my mind, and when customers and partners are doing things. Umbrella, once again, that's the first line of defense. That link got through, somebody clicked that link, or we have the Office 365, but somebody used a Google browser, went to the Gmail and downloaded something, so we still need to have protection. So Umbrella is good for that. And bring the email, because we want, if we'll see something, we of course block things that is known, but for the unknown that comes to a bad through the analytical process that we have, then we need to take it away. So bring that island to the ecosystem. That's probably the number one reason we are selling an email security to the Office 365, because if you take the E3 or E5, you'll get security, yes, but it's an isolated island. It doesn't have any correlation what is happening in your firewall, network, servers, or whatever. So if you take our technology, you get basically cheaper, you get a better protection, and it's part of an ecosystem by default, an open ecosystem. Of course, and SecureX on top of that. So tons of avenues for you to go, and the best portion of this, that you can get this up and running in minutes. So that is absolutely a ton of value. And when we do these POCs and POVs with the customers and partners, we usually reserve like the morning. So we go through the story, we activate Umbrella, we activate StealthWatch, put them in a platform, build a couple of workflows, and then probably integrate something from the environment also, ServiceNow or whatever it's there, and plus the free tools, the Shodan and VirusTotal, and we are done before the lunch. That's the way it goes. So this is the way the security, especially the cybersecurity, should be nowadays, because otherwise you end up in trouble. You if you do that old school way, you're dead in the water. That's the way it goes. So that's my session. I'm not sure am I over time or not, but we started a little bit late. But thank you very much. I don't see any questions at the chat screen. So I guess we're okay from that side. I forget to mention, feel free to hit something to the chat screen. But thank you very much.
So thank you, Marco, for this presentation. It was quite interesting for me also, because I'm familiar with SOAR, but not so in detail, especially with Cisco SOAR. So it was quite informative. So if you have any questions, the viewers, then you can write them down now, or if not, then you can send by email, and then if we don't know the answer, we'll contact Marco and we will get you the answer. So
I can hang around a couple of minutes here if you guys are typing. So hang around a couple of minutes, and if you have questions, we cover them. But as said, feel free to reach out and we cover those. But from the program wise, we are done.
As I see, nobody's typing anything, so maybe then that's it for today. And thanks everyone for sticking with us through this 6 webinar cycle. And see you later, I guess.
Okay, thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.